Okay, this is my Napoleon 1100P wood stove. Right now it's about 68 in the house. I just lit this about an hour ago. It's about 31 outside. It's the middle of November. I've had a few friends ask me to do a little review on my stove. I got this last year. This is my second winter with this stove. So far I'm loving it. It took me a winter to learn how to use it, but now I've got the handle on it. One of the key features with the Napoleon stove, especially their 1100, 1400, I believe it's a 18 or a 1900, is that very close clearances. They have a built-in heat shield on them, so if you notice, this is very close to the wall. The clearance minimum is 2 inches. Right now I have it 2.5 inches away on the corners. In the front it's 18 inches. The front of mine's about 30, I think. I do have a outside air kit installed. I found that I don't really use that except for when it's not really cold outside, but just enough where you need a fire going. So I'll have that air intake open during the very first lighting of the fire. It helps draw the smoke and everything up the stack. I'll go over real quick what's around my stove. I have a little wood box here. I keep a lighter, fat wood. I don't have any kids, so I don't have to lock that up. This is the wood I'm burning right now. It's a 2-year-old ash firewood. It's been split and drying for 2 years. Inside the wood stove right now is a piece of cherry, which that big piece you might be able to see in the back there, and the rest of that is ash. If I have a full load of hardwood in there, I can usually get what I consider burn time of like 8-9 hours. If it's really cold out, I really have the fire cooking, probably get maybe 6 hours on it. Back to where I was. Around here I have this bucket. I usually keep my kindling in there. That's what I use for kindling. There's a pallet place around the corner from me, and they put their scraps out. It's all heat treated pine, not pressure treated. So they just put barrels of this stuff out there. So I have like 15 barrels. I only use like one per winter so far. So I split that up and it takes right off. Next to that I have an old ammo can. I keep newspaper in there. My glove. I have a poker, but that's outside right now. We had a bonfire. I do keep that pretty handy just in case. It's a Hearthguard First Alert fire extinguisher. It's good for like 4 years, so I figured that was a good thing to pick up. What I did do is on the top, you see that arrow? I painted that on there with just a marker. If ever like shit hit the fan, you gotta use it real quick. You might panic which way to point it, so hopefully that'll help. So back to the stove. Like I said, it's all double steel, has a built-in heat shield. It does have a trivet on the top that's removable. Let me put that glove on, I can show you. On the 1400 and the larger, I want to say it's like an 1800, you can take this insert out. You can buy an optional cooking insert, and has a little platform about that tall, and you can cook on it. This one, they don't make a cooking insert as of now. I wish they did, but I just use it if we need to put a kettle on top of it, heat some water, put moisture back in the air. This is the air intake on it, the air control valve, in and out. It does have an ash pan on the bottom. This one does have where on the inside you can hook an air intake kit directly up to the stove. I did not do that. I just put the air intake on the outside of the stove. See those nice blue flames, a little bit of that secondary happening. It was going really good earlier. There it goes. But open that air up a little bit and see if you can stoke the fire a little bit. I'll let it go for a little bit. Stove right now, it's a double wall stovepipe. It's cruising at about 400, 450. I was at 600 earlier, but I had the door open earlier before the video, so it cooled it off a bit. Glass stays relatively clean. It does have that air wash system on it. The reason I had to open the stove earlier is a log fell against the glass, so has that black mark in the corners, but usually does not have that. Like that one's pretty clear. Tip for cleaning that glass is just take a wet paper towel, newspaper, dip it in some of the ash, scrub it on the glass, comes right off easily. I do have a blower installed on this one. I don't use it. I have used it a couple times actually when the stove temp got really high. It helped cool it off real quick. But since then, this living room used to get really hot. So I installed a ceiling fan, really big one. Keep it on low, and I have a 1,000 square foot home. And it circulates the air. This room doesn't get super hot anymore. Like this room will be, I think this room is 74 right now. The rest of the house is like 71 now, looking at the thermostat. That's all I can really think of. Like I said, it's double wall pipe. Goes up through my attic. Then straight at the top of the peak of the roof, like 2 feet above that. Haven't really had any problems with the stove. This is a learning curve. You got to make sure your wood's really dry. Can't use wet wood, even remotely wet wood in these EPA stoves. The firebox in the 1100P is pretty small, but like I said, my home's only 1,000 square feet, so I didn't need a really big stove. This stove, they say, can heat anywhere from like 800 to 1,500 square foot home. I think 1,500 would be pushing it. You have to be burning like really hot. But with a damp down, this home stove heats my house pretty well. Like I was saying, the firebox, it's 18 inches wide, then 12 inches deep, 13 really, but I wouldn't put anything bigger than 12 inches north to south loading. East to west, you can fit an 18 inch, but you don't want to go anything over 17. Like right now, the cherry log in there, it's 18 and a half, so I got a diagonal. As you notice, I do not have one of those flue dampers on the stove. You really don't need it on the new EPA stoves. I'll show you that damper or the air intake all the way open. You'll see the fire will just start really taking off. Turn the light off. See that nice blue flame. See it heating up in there, the fire getting a little more intense. But when you got, with it's only been in there 2-3 hours, and you cut the temp or the air intake down, you'll really see those secondary flames that come out the top there, if you can kind of see that. The stove does crackle a lot, the steel. I think it's because the stove is somewhat new still. I didn't use it a whole lot last year. You can see those secondaries starting to. But once the stove gets the temperature and you got it zeroed in, it doesn't make any sound. It's really quiet. It does put out a lot of heat. I'm getting pretty warm right here. So I think I'm gonna end this video with those flames taken off. Any questions? Post them. I'll try and answer.